Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you live every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down three industry headlines, to provide some actual insight into this crazy fucking industry that we work in, and give you guys some information that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business out there. Because we're all about progress here. We're all about keeping people in business. These one truck operations, the small fleets, the small carriers out there, the 97% of this industry that makes it all up. We're here for you to talk about it and to provide some resources. Hell, we already got Mr. James Badgley in the audience. Hey, guys, his MC number, if you're watching this or if you're hitting this up on the replay, MC is 1273789. He is emptying Billings, Montana tomorrow. He's got a flatbed air ride with tarps with a deadhead to Rapid City, South Dakota for a good rate. Hit him up, you guys. Again, if you're any of my broker friends who are out there watching this live right now, or if you're going to be listening to it later on and you have some flatbed freight out of that area, hit up James, you guys. And any other driver out there that's listening right now, put your equipment type in the comments, where you're at, your MC, where you're looking to go. And again, this is what we're all about here at the Freight Coach Network. We're here to keep people in business. We're here to help everybody grow and keep this freight moving. Casey Sawyer, you are right, man. Let's fucking go. There's, for all of you guys out there who would like to keep track of the fuck tally, there's two for you, and we're not even a minute in. Anyways, as always, you guys got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You got to hit them up. VHubApp.com. They're the ones who make this show possible every single weekday for us. You guys, the access to trailers, we all need it. Whether you're a shipper, broker, or carrier alike, there's no reason that any of our driver partners should have to shut down for having a trailer in the shop. They can get on that app and have a seamless reposition out there. Brokers as well. You can build a drop trailer pool at your customers' facilities through this. Right now, what they have, and I'm trying to get, a little bit technical here because I'm on my laptop and I don't have my normal computer screen that we have. But what we're going to do is what they have out there right now is they have it over in where Ron Burgundy lives, out in San Diego to Houston, Texas. Get $600 to move that one. They also have brand new dry vans over in Glade Spring, Virginia, going to Orting, Washington, which is just outside of Tacoma. $1,550, you get paid to do that. And then also Paragould, Arkansas, going up to Orting, Washington. And again, $1,550 to do that, you guys. And that is on top of the money that you make by putting freight in the back of that trailer. All right, so hit him up, vhubapp.com. My man Xavier Campos, he's going to be in the audience, as well as my friend Stacy Steen. She'll be in the audience as well. Hit him up, you guys. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Dedicated Trucking, let's go. You are right. Bob, good morning, sir. I got a very special guest for you guys. He's the best dressed man in freight. There's no way around it. He's always in a suit and tie. He's booted up. He's ready to go, and he's actually illuminated today. Mr. Kyle Lintner's back. Kyle, what's up, brother? How are you?
What's going on, Chris? I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. I
had to change my background to match your new setting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Kyle, is everybody out there, and you'll get this because you're doing your thing right now. You're building up your company, and the setting is never ideal. You got to just make it work, and you got to show up every single time.
And throw some F-bombs in there to make it work.
Exactly. Kyle doesn't do that. I do that. I'll say the F-bombs. Kyle's more polished than I am. So what's going on today, man? What's up? What's good in your world? What are you seeing out there?
Not too much. And we're in those dog days of summer for everyone, for baseball, for freight. Although these are the dog days, freight's still pretty busy.
Yeah, it's very true. I had Ken Adamo on yesterday from DAT, and that's one thing that I'm always watching is I'm looking at the overall freight volumes, because again, I don't hide behind the fact that I understand why there's a national average. I just don't think it's applicable to literally everything that moves out there, and I just want people to be aware of that there's the data is great. You need to use data. You need to leverage it. Technology is phenomenal. But again, it's like, it's very subjective and it's very circumstantial on a lot of this stuff that you kind of experience every single day.
Yep. It's an enormous market, and there's tons of different data points that you can view and collect to point in whichever direction you'd like it to go. The idea is always to stay objective and try and figure out what fits for all, not just, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what it must be this way for everybody else.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly it.
I'm sure you got that from Ken. Ken's a good dude. He's got a lot of data at his fingertips.
He does, and he is just fucking, man, that guy's amazing. Like I like, it's more of him talking to me and me just like observing and learning, because he looks at things from such a different angle than I do. Because again, like me growing up in the industry, carrier sales, customer sales, leaderships, all that shit, I look at things from a completely different lens. And when you hear the analytics behind things, you hear the data first mentality. It's like, it's very eye opening on how I can take that information and apply it to my daily life and see a difference out there, and that's like the approach that most people need to take with data.
100% agree. I think I have a similar view on it than Ken for the same reason. And that's neither one of us come from it. We're not a broker. We're not a shipper. We're not a carrier. There's no slant. There's some skin in the game because that's credibility, but we don't have an objective we're trying to achieve other than figuring out what's going on and what the problem might be.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, man. And that's what we need. Is we need more opinions. That, again, like, I'm always about that experience. And, and I think that anybody can say that that desk level experience will always trump theory, but at the end, but like, you've been in the trenches. You can break down this information and actually explain it. Like, you're not like reading an article and like, oh, all of a sudden Kyle Lintner is trying to be a fucking expert in freight, and he's never, so I think that, like, that's the difference though. And like, when you look at a company like DAT, who has they're the largest platform out there, but they've been doing it for the longest. They've earned that right. I mean, I talk about a lot too. I'm a capitalist. I love making money. I love fucking doing the right, and putting that out there and building up stuff. And, there's just, I don't know, man. We're actually going to be talking about them first and foremost here today.
Speaking of them, yeah.
And speaking of them, but I do got to give a shout out to the fuel price. You know what? Because it's actually below $5 a gallon technically for the national average at $4.99 a gallon. And again, it sickens me to see that people are celebrating that it's the largest drop in fuel price in history, and it's also on the heels of the largest increase in history as well. So it's kind of like what we were talking about on yesterday's show too with Ken, is it's like, when you're looking at, there was a massive drop, but yeah, there was also a massive spike to begin it. So it's again more of a normalization. But like with fuel, for example, it's not normal. It's still fucking $1.70 a gallon higher than 12 months ago.
So take that same line of thinking and put it in freight rates.
Yes.
But everybody wants to think about it differently.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly it, man. It's like, there's just so, again, there's just so much to break down with it. And that's where that experience comes in, of actually working through multiple market shifts and everything else that you see out there. Is you've experienced this before. And, again, it's like, you look at the CEO of C.H. Robinson, and they're just a little old company out of Minnesota here, just a little freight brokerage. But you hear their CEO up there talking. There's no like fear in his eyes, because he's been down this road a lot. You look at the Shelley Simpsons of the world, and Knight Swifts and Martin, like, all of them are coming out here and saying like, hey, this is more of a normalization. They've been here, they've experienced this, and that's how you need to approach it, in my opinion.
Yep, 100%. We are normalizing, albeit from very exorbitant highs. So yes, the drops are always going to look bad, but consider where they're coming from. And then the easiest thing that I always try to tell everybody is just compare what we're at right now for everything to where it was before COVID.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Well, hey, let's Drew, we're going to get into this first article here. Drew Driscoll, let's get after today. You are right. Every fucking day, man, you got to get after it. Cody Hapke, I'm sorry if I botched your last name there, but that's what I'm going with. Good morning to you, sir. It's important. Dedicated Trucking, Lewis, is it's important that you'll find a way. If it's not important, you'll find an excuse. Amen to that. Sonny Sharma, he's a member of the Orange Shirt Gang. Good morning, sir. All right. First article is another touch on. We talked about this last week with Matt Leffler, the armchair attorney. And this is about the lawsuit that's going on right now between Convoy and DAT. This article is from the JOC. You guys, again, they're one of my favorite news sources out there. And this was written by my friend Eric Johnson. He wrote the original article on it as well. And they're in a major legal battle right now. And to the key question that defines not only the lawsuit and two companies that filed against one another, but also the broader issue of what it takes to build trucking load boards. How unique is a marketplace that aligns carrier capacity with shipper loads? Defining market dominance is we're going to start with this, where the cases might have broader relevance to the truckload industry is in defining the extent of which load boards are competitive with one another and whether DAT truly has such a dominant position in the market that it stymies innovation from reaching shippers and carriers, as Convoy has proclaimed in the suit. And Convoy is not disputing that making a competing product to DAT. Matt Leffler, the armchair attorney, said to the JOC, they are also saying that it did not use proprietary data or trade secrets at the core. They're saying that DAT's contract is unfair and that the provision to stop should be knocked out. But Leffler also says he sees Convoy's counterclaim as weak. And he's saying that he thinks it will not survive a motion to dismiss, but I understand why they made the claim. Simply put, there's not a technology that prevents others from making load boards. For Convoy, they were able to make one in a year. The only barrier for them was the contract provision that said they cannot make it. What is your position on kind of a lot of that stuff, Kyle? Because I mean, there's a lot of information to break down in there.
There is. The first thing I'll say is it's interesting is that I did not see this article and where most people get their transportation news.
Yeah.
The second thing is that there's a lot of things that go into this. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to pretend I know it. I think Matt Leffler did a very good job of explaining those aspects to it. What this all boils down to is anyone who's been on DAT knows it has two core products. That is Rate View, where you're going to get your rates. The other is access to the load board, where people conduct transactions. One is more valuable than the other, and that's what DAT is trying to protect, and that's what Convoy is providing an alternative for. Buried in the terms and conditions of all user agreements are little stipulations that none of us ever read and get to. And part of DAT's is that if you're going to consume data from DAT rates, if you're going to post loads on their load board, you cannot have a competing product with them. Convoy's idea of a load board does compete with DAT's. It's one or the other. Then in DAT's mind, you can do your own thing and not touch anything that goes on at DAT, or if you want to touch what goes on at DAT, you cannot have a rival competing product. Now, from a purely objective third-party standpoint, that sounds good to me. Why would I want someone to access my platform and then stand up an alternative to it?
Yeah.
You want to come and compete with me, fine. I don't care whatsoever. More competition is better for everybody. But if we put that in a different idea or a different industry or an analog to that, that would be like opening up a hot dog stand and somebody wants to come in and purchase anything on your menu and then also have a hot dog stand next to yours. There wouldn't be anything from preventing them from coming inside your store and buying all of your food and turning around and reselling it in theirs.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? You would tell that person, hey, look, you want to have the hot dog stand, that's fine, but you can't come and shop inside of mine.
Yeah. And I look at it like this too, man, is I agree with that, because as somebody who owns a technology company, I wouldn't want anybody who uses my product to literally steal the functionality of it. I'm not about like, hey, you want to build a competitor. That's fine. But like, don't steal what we've done and then try and say that the contract that you have is unfair. Like, why can't I use your platform, but then build a competitor and do that? And I just think it speaks to the broader picture of kind of like, I mean, because Convoy's kind of like rebranded a lot in their short histories. It's kind of like, what are you trying to accomplish? Because like, hey, we're a broker, but we're not a broker. And then like the pricing model, and then, hey, brokers, post all your stuff on our company because we have like we all have that. Like, what I think, like, it's a stretch from their perspective of they don't know what they are as a company. Like, I'll just be very fucking bold with it because they've changed trajectory and course a lot over this time frame. And I get it, when you have an endless supply of money kind of pumping in there, maybe they are trying to develop something more. I don't know. I'm not on their board meetings or anything. I don't have any privy information, but to me, it seems like they've kind of shifted focus like 5 times since their inception.
Yeah, some of it could be the more jars we have our hands in, the greater we can inflate our total market share inside of the total addressable market in each. And it could be for those reasons. I don't know. Where I get very interested in this story, though, is the end of it. Where does this go? For the simple reason it's lightly touched on in that article when it mentions market dominance. For all intents and purposes, DAT is a market. That's where everyone goes.
Correct.
To book loads, right? Even these monster digital guys, everything they do, they try and book it within their own platform. But if they can't get it done inside of that, they go to DAT for it to get done. And that's how you end up with $100 billion in transactions through DAT. So if someone can rock the boat a little bit or move DAT from its perch of being the end all on market transactions, what happens after that? I don't know what the answer is. I'm really curious to see. Obviously, there's an if before that. But until somebody replaces DAT or at least loosens their grip on the market, there can't be any alternative to it. And then anytime anyone wants to do something like Convoy with their own version of a load board, it isn't going to work, whether it's because you're now a competitor and you have to lose access to DAT, or you're just David trying to fight Goliath.
I would love to see what Convoy's contract is with other brokers about using their platform. I bet you it's worded eerily similar to where, hey, you can use it, but you can't build a competitor and steal it. I would love to see if that's going to be a part of that lawsuit. Because I mean, again, like that's what lawyers look for. Hey, wait a second. Why are you suing us for something that you do and hold your users accountable for? You know, again, I don't know. This is just me spitballing here, but I would assume there's something eerily similar in their contract with any broker that's out there. Like, hey, you can't use a shared load board. Because I mean, essentially, that's what it is to me. Like, I guess, you know, and I put this on the show last week. Where I'm from, hell, I'm back in my old stomping grounds. I'm going to use a saying that we always said: you can put lipstick on a pig, man, but it's still a fucking pig. Like, just because you change the wording around in a statement doesn't make the statement different. It's still the same fucking thing, just worded differently.
Right. I totally agree, and I have nothing more to add that other than you're 100% right. And I'm really interested to see how the specifics of it for those reasons come out. What is it that the court takes issue with? What is it that the lawyers respond with? Like you're saying, maybe it goes down that path of you're the same thing as us. How can you sue us for it? But you know, that is a slippery slope, and it is a dangerous proposition when you decide to enter into the legal realm and have judges decide things like this. You don't necessarily know what the response will be. So you could come in there with the intent of stopping Convoy from putting out their load board, right? From DAT's perspective. Yeah. But if the judge rules in a manner that you don't see coming, this could open the door to 15, 16, 118 new load boards tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who are also consumers of DAT, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, you know, Ryan Schreiber, he's I like Ryan Schreiber a lot.
He also has a law degree.
Yeah, I didn't know that he had a law degree, but this just brings him out. And he's got
a fucking water in Michigan State. You go and you get a law degree and you end up in transportation.
I know, clearly. But he's got a really good point out there. You know, in this, he's like, hey, DAT doesn't see these folks as competition, which they are not wrong about. But he also goes on to say that those brokers are not offering capacity as a service like Convoy is. Brokers are selling that capacity to shippers. So, you know, he said that DAT likely saw Convoy for brokers as more of a direct threat because Convoy believes that their ability to build a meaningful product is the real moat in it. And then he said, ultimately, who cares? It has limited to no impact on the broader industry, except that DAT is really trying to constrain innovation in the space. I don't.
Well, the second part, the second part is a complete contradiction of his first statement.
Yes.
And I think I don't want to put words in Ryan's mouth, but what he probably meant is that at face value, this means nothing because for the same reason it's existed before, DAT's lead in the race is so insurmountable that no one will catch up. But if you can go one to many, which is what Convoy is trying to do, and say, hey, every brokerage out there, you guys go and do your own thing. But if you all meet together on Convoy's platform, that shortens the distance between them and DAT in a hurry. And then you're a legitimate competitor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe, and again, I'm not putting words in Ryan's mouth either, but based off of that's what I felt, you know, very similar to what you're saying right there. And, you know, just a small caveat. There is a mention that Loeffler said he suspects that the lawsuits will be settled before they reach a courtroom, as is the case 95% of the time. He said in an appearance on the Freight Coach Morning Show on August 3rd, just putting it out there, the Freight Coach Morning Show was mentioned in a major news publication, and I Just had to throw that out there. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but again, that article was from the JOC, written by my man Eric Johnson. Convoy DAT battle, you know, and again, it's like it's interesting to see, but it's also like I think this is something that a lot of young founders and young people in business need to pay attention to from a legal perspective, because sometimes you're, you know, unintentional. You're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to fuck yourself. You know, you're going to do something or say something. And again, I put myself out there a lot, and, you know, I wouldn't be surprised the day that I get my first fucking cease and desist or subpoena in the fucking mail. But I also think, though, that if you're going to go out there and build a product and claim innovation and claim it, but then you use somebody else's structure, you're going to get fucking sued, because companies don't put everything on the line to build something up just to have somebody come in and steal it. And you try and be a user of that product while building a competitor to that. Like, I just, to me, it's just fucking sleazy.
Well, what happens if the ruling is essentially Convoy cannot have both? They either need to pull down their load board or move forward with their load board without DAT. What's the decision on that part? Like, it is, and I'm sure they've thought about this, but if you're going to have your load board, but you can't have access to DAT, Convoy must feel confident that they can book an overwhelming majority of their loads through their own means without accessing DAT. Otherwise, you don't move forward on this, right?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
And that brings up a whole different idea then. Are we at the point now where the digital brokerages are transacting a large enough share on their own platform that they don't need things like DAT? Because then that gives others the idea that, hey, maybe we can move around and move away from, because everybody and their mother, as much as they don't want to admit it, even the largest of the largest, still books loads through DAT.
Yes, of course they do.
So what happens if it's shown now? Because Convoy is saying we feel like we can do this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone down this path, right?
Yeah.
You're poking the dragon, and unless you feel like you can beat it, why do it?
I think it really what's going to happen is it's going to put it up to the court of public opinion. And that is sometimes the most ruthless court to be in, because you're not confined by laws. Yeah. Essentially, you're excommunicating a lot of people that maybe, and again, this is my opinion, DAT loyalists who were considering maybe checking out what this was, and now they see something like this, and they're going to be like, yeah, go fuck yourself. We're not going to use you. And again, it's like, you're playing with fire. You really are. And, you know, I'm not like against them building a competitor or anything like that. Like, I'm all about fucking competition. I'm all about all of that. But I think, like, when it comes down to what you sign, you guys pay attention to what's on the fucking contracts that you're signing, because you can't sign a document and then claim, at least in my opinion, oh, well, I didn't know it was there. You know, like you can't do that, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
Yeah, Kyle, we're only going to probably get to 2 articles today.
I don't think we've ever gotten to 3.
I know we haven't, and that's fine. That's fine. You know, let's go to, obviously, you know, the one article that we were going to touch on, but, you know, it is what it is. Everybody knew it, but Brad Jacobs is stepping into a different role at XPO overall, and Mario Hark is going to be the new CEO. Mario, dude, he was there when I was at XPO, and he was like the brainchild behind a lot of their proprietary software. Mario's a great guy. It's a natural move to it. And, you know, hey, more power to you. You can't knock what Brad has done at scale, coming in and, you know, say what you want about anything. That guy fucking knew what he was doing. He stuck to his plan. And as somebody who was an early employee of XPO, he literally did everything he said that he was going to do the first time we met with him. That was his thing. So hats off to Brad. And I'm excited to see what that guy's going to fucking do next, because I doubt he's done.
That company always seems to have a different idea of where they're going. It catches everyone by surprise. So I'm with you. I'm excited to see that.
All right. The article we will break down, though, is from FreightWaves. No precipitous plunge in container shipping rates, just orderly decline. Tanker spot rates can plunge when supply exceeds demand, one of the big questions for container shipping has been, will spot rates plunge after demand pulls back, as it has been in bulk commodities? So far, it looks gradual. Trans-Pacific rates have steadied in July and early August. In fact, some indexes show spot rates ticking higher again. Spot rates are at least temporary plateauing because U.S. import demand remains above pre-COVID pandemic levels. Some U.S. ports remain extremely congested, and ocean carriers are blanking or voiding / i.e. canceling sailings, both because their ships are stuck in port queues and because they're matching vessel supply with cargo demand to avert the fate of Greek tanker owners. Okay. It does go on to say that, Trans-Pacific rates are up 3% from recent lows. Yeah, man, I think like from a import export perspective, from that, like the ocean lines, it seems healthy still. It still seems like there's a lot of freight moving from an import level right now.
You said the most important part of that entire article, and that's still above pre-pandemic levels. So we never got back to normal as far as the ports are concerned. They've still been congested ever since. The amount of freight coming in hasn't loosened up. So, of course, the problem persists, and it doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. And I think this reinforces the idea of domestic surface level transportation, that it is still very, very busy from a volume standpoint. The only thing that has changed is the relationship between spot and contract rates.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, like, again, what you will see is, trying to find a beacon of hope out there is when this stuff gets cleared through customs, when it gets offloaded. And we were talking about this yesterday about the intermodal and how truckload has been stealing capacity away from intermodal. This is, I think, going to start, I'll make a bold prediction here. This is going to start the seasonal shipping earlier than normal. And this is going to hold it firm longer, but it's not going to be the traditional. I think it's going to be gangbuster. I really do. I think because there's going to be so much freight that needs to be moved, is they're not going to wait for intermodal. They're going to say, hey, we got to transition this to truckload. And I think that you're going to see more of that, kind of a repeat pattern for Q4 for the holiday push as what we saw last year. Is they're going to bypass traditional shipping methods to get it there quicker. And, I think OTR, full truckload, has always proven to be the more reliable form of transportation that's out there because you can get it faster.
Yep, I completely agree. And it's similar to this last year, but the only difference now is the problem isn't that we need to get this stuff to the shelves because we don't have it there. The problem is intermodal takes too long. I've already had my stuff sit at the ports and deal with that congestion. I'm short on time. Hey, truckload is obviously much faster, but it isn't that much different in price given where we are now with rates. The only thing that's different is the relationship between spot and contract is making everything run smoother. What does that look like when we do get to Q4 and things are now out of control, like you're suggesting, and I agree with, that'll change things. And if we do have more long distance runs, port to the final destination kind of stuff, we're going to pull capacity further away from those port areas where it's needed most. And that begins that snowballing domino effect. And then we get that problem ripple through the entire country like we had last year.
And I think that that's going to correct the spot market a little bit. I think, again, I can't say it's going to increase rates to a certain thing. Like, hey, my predictions is I'm not, because frankly, I don't think anybody can fucking predict what the spot market is going to adjust. I think it'll be seasonally adjusted. I think you'll see an increase in peak season like you normally do. But I also think that the traditional, if warehouses and transloading facilities remain jam-packed, what you'll see, I think, is the extension of where this transloading facilities are going to happen. I think you're going to start seeing further outside of LA. You're going to start seeing that out there. So there might be a new shipping hub pop up in fucking Needles, Arizona, or Needles, California, right on the border there, because that's where they can fucking find warehousing space.
Right.
So you never know. All I know is it's a great fucking time to be in trucking. It's always going to be a great time to be in trucking.
People need their stuff. It's always got to get there somehow.
Dude, that's exactly it. So Kyle, put out a bold prediction, man. What's your bold prediction for Q4? What do you think?
Spot surpasses contract.
Ooh, I fucking love it. I wouldn't be surprised. And at this point, Kyle, nothing surprises me, because again,
we could get there if, everyone and their mother thinks there's going to be another push down in contract rates. That we're going to get through this earnings season of Q3 and shippers will look at every carrier saying, hey, look, record earnings, record earnings, record earnings. And they'll have all their bosses saying we need to cut corners on the transportation budget. It's gotten too high. They'll see that big gap between spot and contract. We move contract rates down lower again. And we do that as we come into a time on the calendar where things do get very busy and rates tend to go up to begin with. If that spread between the two gets too narrow, then spot will automatically cross. It doesn't need to get to the point where they one crosses the other. If contract and spot gets within 10 cents, then spot will automatically cross over. That's just the nature of the beast. So, keep walking down contract rates and we'll get to that again. I guarantee it.
Let's go. I love it. I fucking love it, man. How does anybody find out? How does anybody reach out? You guys know where Kyle is on LinkedIn.
I need trolling on LinkedIn.
You are
That's
trolling.
the easiest
I
way.
fucking love it. We're gonna just start Kevin Durant burner accounts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be not the freight coach.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. Well, hey, you guys, that's it for today. Hey, I'm going to be doing a live 1 hour special tonight at the Minnesota Trucking Association. That's where I'm at this week. I'll be up in Alexandria, Minnesota, doing that. And we'll be talking to 4 companies that are out there right now. We're going to be talking about best practices, what they're doing, how they're dealing with fuel prices, how they're dealing with freight rates and everything else. Because again, you guys, we're about keeping people in business. All right. We're about keeping people profitable, and it's going to take a collective. All right. Because at the end of the day, I know some people out there who have a 2 or a 3 truck operation are like, I don't give a fuck what JB Hunt is doing, because it doesn't, like, how is there any direct correlation? And there are, like, there are a lot of patterns that we can all follow out there, but we're going to be talking to the 97%. That's what, that's what we're all about, is talking to these, the people out there who are grinding out there, and they're involved in the day to day. And we're going to do that tonight. And then we're also going to be on early tomorrow, a little bit earlier than normal. We'll be on at 8:00 Central. Again, we'll be talking to 2 other individuals about social media marketing as well as cold calling on tomorrow's morning show. So that's it for today, you guys. I appreciate all the support. Again, if you saw value in it, share the show. That's how this is going to continue to grow. That's how we're going to continue to take on some of these other giants and be the #1 transportation media source in this industry within 12 months. That's bold prediction from fucking the Freight Coach, which I'll say every single day because I truly believe it. I appreciate you guys all so much, and we'll be talking.